What's up, guys? This is Corey Baker from Baker Forge and Tool. In my business, we do tons of heavy grinding every single day, and we needed a grinder that could take abuse and keep on trucking without slowing down billet production. The AmeriBraid variable speed 2x72 is just that. All heavy-duty parts and framing with well-thought-out accessories that are easy to use and not bogged down with lots of tiny parts. By far, the best accessory item that AmeriBraid sells is their surface grinding attachment. It is absolutely foolproof and the best in the industry. With quick-release magnet system, there is no prying your workpiece off the platen. Very fast to slap a billet or a knife onto the table, engage magnets, and start surfacing with precise increments. On top of all of this, their customer support is outstanding. Eric and Kevin are always available and fast to help with any situation. If you're in the market for a top-of-the-line grinder, or maybe just an accessory to add to your existing setup, go to AmeriBraid.com and use the code HUSTLE100 for $100 off any grinder package. All right, next up, the Hustle and Grind Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? We're back again for another week. You got me, Ryan Chadbourne, Knifeworks. I'm here with a down and out, very not feeling good Noah Bloomberg of the Antioch River Forge. And this week, we got a short notice drop-in guest, the Gordian Key Forge. What's up, buddy? Finally get to meet you face to face.
Yes, sir. We communicate enough.
we literally talk every day about MMA. Or we just send each other funny reels. But it's good to have you on, man. Let's start right out with, for comedy fans out there, you got a sword to the Legion of Skanks.
Yes, I did. And they
awesome.
played it on the show, did the whole thing. It was awesome.
It's
I'm
cool for me.
Following that up. Go ahead.
It's cool for me because I'm a fan of theirs, so I see my buddy's sword on their table every episode now.
No, they didn't have it on there the episode after the one that they showed it, so I was like, oh, fuck, maybe they're just, going to keep it in the back. But then every episode after that, it's been on it, which is awesome.
Yeah, nice. So what were you going to say?
So they, Legion of Skanks is all ran by Gas Digital Studios, and they have a bunch of different shows on there. Comedian by the name of Zach Amico. I'm a fan of his show, Zach Amico's Midnight Spook Show, but I made this for him. I'll try to get my camera's not the best, but I'll see what you can see here. It's all about horror movies and stuff, so it's got all the famous villains on there.
Oh, jeez.
Big old chopper. And on the other side, I made some art with his face on it. A little horror stuff.
Nice. You're pouring those handles, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm doing like a little hybrid resin thing.
So for those of you just listening to the audio version of this, he just held up this gigantic, evil-looking chopper with some very interesting, detailed scales that had all different movie villain faces poured into the resin scales. It was a little hard to see, but yes, I did see a ski mask on there at the very least.
Yeah, we got a trade zine in the works too. His you make like a lot of, it's really opposite from my style, which I like. I like to see like all different things in my feed, and yours is a very like rough, brutal, like I'm gonna chop somebody's fucking head off with this thing type style.
I'm starting to come into my own as a style.
Yeah.
How long you been making?
2 years, January 15th. So I'm about a little over a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, loving it, man. That's all I want to do.
And you're forging too. You're not stock removal like me.
Both.
Oh, you're doing both. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The stock removal is a lot faster, but with what I'm trying to make, sometimes I got to bust out the anvil anyways.
Right, yeah, because you do those like nice guards over the fingers.
Yeah, integral like guards, twisted.
Yeah, you kind of got to use
it's a whole lot of fun.
That.
Right.
What got you started?
The fucking show, man. Am I allowed to swear on here? I'm assuming so, right?
Yeah.
You're all right.
I've listened to a bunch of episodes, but I don't recall. But Forge and Fire. I've been obsessed with weapons as a kid. I've heard you say on a couple episodes ago, running around as a kid with a stick, you hit your buddy in the back while he was on a bike. I was the same guy. Anything I can pick up and swing, I'm swinging it. When I watched the show, I realized I didn't need all that much to get started, so I bought a bunch of cheap stuff, fooled around with it, just fell in love with it. Just started spending a bunch of money on tools, and here I am now, having fun.
Yeah, it is the world's most expensive hobby.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I'm glad the wife is cool with it too. She sees how
You gotta have a
motivated
patient
I am.
wife. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to do something like this without the support of your wife behind you.
Man,
I
I
that
took
seems to be
over
a
half
common
the
trend.
garage. Yeah.
Yeah. At least you gave her half. I took the whole garage.
She wouldn't have that.
No.
I got you all beat. I'm in a 12 by 20 shop, and my wife has a 30 by 30 shop. So,
Damn.
she's happy.
Yeah.
She works on bigger stuff than me. She does like furniture and stuff like that. So
Oh,
she was
nice.
trying to do that. She was trying to do that in the small shop, and I'm like, babe, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I make knives that are like 14 inches long overall, and you're working on a 12-foot table like that. It just seems wrong. So we ended up switching shops, and now I'm in the little one.
Hey, whatever works, right?
Yeah, buddy, it forces me to clean in order to be able to move around in there and stuff. So
yeah, I'm a mess right now.
So you got started on Forge and Fire. Was there anything else you did before that kind of lended itself to making or any kind of creative outlet?
Not
or
a
anything?
thing, man. Not a thing. I've always been creative, but no, nothing at all. No metalwork, really no woodwork besides a little bit in high school. Yeah, man. Just trial and error, basically, and determination. I'm account manager for a company that distributes a specific energy drink. So basically, I drive around in a big old truck every day. I go to different stores trying to sell the product, and I race my ass back home so I can get into here and do the real work, you know?
You said a specific energy drink. I assume that means you don't want to name it. Is it something we've heard of?
It doesn't matter. It's Red Bull. It doesn't
nice.
really matter. It's not like this is an offensive podcast or anything. The problem is I listen to so many offensive podcasts, I'm just used to being like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say anything.
No worries, man. No worries. I'm glad that we're not offensive. I don't know what offensive qualifies as, but we're not political.
Well, we'll see what happens once we get into Florida, man.
They're a little mile.
Are we doing a Florida man or this or that?
We got a little bit of this or that, and we got a little bit of where in the world is Florida man. So no fake news today. Actually, let's just jump right into our this or that. So for the listeners, we tried to do an episode yesterday, and we brought on. Excuse me, I'm really not feeling good, so my voice is a little bit jacked up. So I apologize for the way that I sound. But we tried to bring on Ryan Moeller from Wood by Moeller, and he is one of my favorite drug dealers. If you're a knife maker, you probably have a similar addiction to what I do, and you buy way more handle scales than you need. And he's one of my favorites. And we started to have a really great conversation. We just had so many technical issues, and in the end, we had to scrap the audio. So we definitely didn't want to give you guys a subpar podcast, so we decided to reschedule with Ryan, and we'll try and get that to happen at a later date. So normally I try to make these this or that questions somewhat specific to our guest. Unfortunately, on such short notice and me being sick, I haven't had time to prepare. So I'm just going to throw these out there. John, if you've heard the show before, you know that this is a rapid fire question. You've got two options, and you just got to pick one or the other. And some of them might not apply to you, and I apologize for that. But let's go ahead and jump right in here. You ready?
Let's do it.
Ketchup or ranch?
Ketchup.
Synthetic or natural?
Natural.
Sort by price or sort by rating?
Price.
Crunchy or smooth peanut butter?
Crunchy.
Oh, morning person or night owl?
Not really, no.
Morning person or night owl?
Oh, night owl. Night owl.
Gotcha.
For sure.
And Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
No company or bad company?
Bad company.
Itchy eyeball or a loose sock down in your shoe where you can't fix it?
Loose sock all day.
All right. False hope or unnecessary anxiety?
What was the first one?
False hope
False
or
hope.
unnecessary?
Unnecessary. No, false hope. False hope.
All right. All right. Food truck or a fancy restaurant?
Fancy restaurant.
All right, there we go.
I've puked on too many food trucks.
All right, that's fair. I feel like it depends on where you are in the country on whether or not a food truck is a good idea.
Because I'm from in Illinois, the Mexican food is fantastic in Elgin, Illinois. But the problem is you eat it one too many times, catch up with you on the food truck. One of those days it's going to be spoiled.
Gotcha. All right.
Best Mexican food I ever had came off a truck in California.
Same here, buddy. Same here. There's some
California.
solid food trucks around here.
Mm-hmm. I had never seen a food truck when we moved out there, and now, like, these days, they've migrated here, and they're everywhere. I know 2 people who own them. It's like everybody's hopping on with the food truck.
Yeah, they're huge now. They got really nice ones. The one I'm used to is old, greasy, rusted. Just, you don't trust it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just restaurants, there's so much overhead, when you're talking about serving food and stuff, and people complain about food prices and stuff. But I mean, you look at the overhead that goes into a restaurant, it's pretty harsh. So just driving around in a little mobile rig, I feel like that probably cuts down a lot on that cost.
It's a good point.
Yeah, when I was a manager for Ruby's, their rent was $15,000.
Yeah, see, that's nuts, man.
Just the rent.
How much you take in on one day, though?
Wonton tacos for that.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Because on a Friday, Saturday, you could do $50,000 on the whole day in sales.
Yeah, that's intense.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, shoot, John, I don't know much about you, but let's hear what your last week or so has been like in your shop. What have you been working on?
I got a few orders. I've been posting some things on Facebook groups, specific Facebook groups. It seems to be paying off. I'm getting some orders, and left and right, I got hit with a bunch. I'm working on my first kukri, what I'm excited for.
Ooh.
I just finished it today, sharpened it up. Working on the handle for it.
Beast.
Customer wants to do a Pokemon theme on here. Customer request, whatever they want. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
My 9-year-old would love that.
Working on this guy. This is a rough grind right now. I like big stuff, man. It's fun.
Jeez.
I got a bunch of stuff going on right now. Some EDCs, cleaver, just trying to book some more. I think I'm booked out for the next 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, nice. You're one of the few guys making almost exclusively like swords and cleavers and like big fucking blades. Whereas a lot of guys, the biggest blades they make is a chef knife. Like myself, the biggest blade I make is a chef knife right now.
Oh yeah, same here.
Yeah.
I've made some big choppers and stuff like that, but well, that's great, man. If you want to do what you love, you're kind of inspiring me a little bit. Honestly, I've been kind of pigeonholing myself into trying to make what sells. But honestly, those big choppers that I made a couple of those, and man, those things are so much fun to make. Just sort of a style of like the Jason Knight Elemental chopper. I've made a couple like that, and those things are just so fun to make. I mean, there's not much to them. And you just feel badass when you're swinging that thing.
Definitely.
And messing stuff up.
You gotta test it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I recently chopped a golf ball in half with one of them.
Oh, nice. I gotta try
just because I felt like making a reel. You would be surprised at how hard it is to hit a golf ball dead center to where you chop it in half instead of having it fling off somewhere. Man, that was tough, but you know, did it for the gram, so it was worth it.
I don't do enough. I do like the paper cut videos, but I did one video where I took an old knife and chopped through a nail with it a few times, and that one did pretty good. I should probably make more of those.
That one that I split a bolt with did pretty good.
Good. That one was $10.95. No deflection, no nothing. It was like I never. It's crazy.
I need to do more of those torture test ones. Those are fun.
So speaking of the long blades and my 4-foot oven, I've been brainstorming how I'm going to rig this up because you have to be able to heat individual sections at different times so that it's not like way too hot in the back. I was thinking it's probably overkill or me simplifying it, but if I did like 3 or 4 different sets of coils all run off their own independent PID, so I'd have 4 PIDs on my box and I'd just set them all to the same temp.
Okay.
And then I could just piggyback all. Yeah. I'd need 8 relays though.
Jeez.
And 4 PIDs, 4 thermocouples. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
Well, I feel like there's a simpler way to go about that.
Yeah, I just don't know what that is. Paragon has a controller that does that, but I don't know how it's wired or hooked up or how to purchase one. Maybe I should message them.
Maybe.
Because Brian House's kiln will do that. It'll heat up the front if you open the door, but not the back.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. Fancy shit.
Fancy stuff.
Expensive shit.
Got the expensive shit. His has got the argon inlet, so you can hook an argon tank right to your kiln. And
that would be so
argon.
nice.
Yeah, it pumps argon into the chambers so you can do stainless without foil wrap on it.
Yeah, I just finished up that batch of 8 using just that no scale from Lawrence, and man, it seems to have worked well. The one thing I will say about that no scale, I've gotten a lot of questions about it, so I appreciate everybody reaching out. But using that no scale on the stainless, it seems to work really good. I think the key is you got to keep it thin. And I know that seems kind of counterintuitive because you want to try and keep as much, barrier between your steel and the oxygen. But as soon as it starts to get thick, it just gets really grainy and it doesn't stick very well. So just like a really rough finish on the blade to kind of hold the grains to the blade and then keep it nice and thin. Because I had a couple spots where I got a little bit too thick where I had to like touch up or something. And it just kind of like you touch it on something and it just kind of falls off. It just flakes off. But if you keep that nice thin barrier, it works really good. And it seemed to have worked really, really well in the heat treating. So pretty happy with that stuff. But
yeah, I've zero experience with stainless.
Oh, that's right. You heat treat out of a forge, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Forge into my quench, into my oven.
Yeah. I like stainless because I don't have to explain to my customers like care of the blade. You know what I mean? Yes. But it is it's more expensive to make because the steel's more expensive. My light bill's like on a good month, like $300 a month.
Jeez.
I paid a $700 light bill like 2 months ago. Well, my kiln was running for like 2 days straight, like 12 hours. So it was quite the drain. But with a forge, all you got to do is go fill your propane tank and
yes, sir,
you're good to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I got some extra propane tanks. I got a gas station right down the street, so it works out nicely.
Nice.
Do you have any sort of like temperature control or anything to monitor the temp in your forge, or do you just do it off of eyeball?
All eyeball. All trial and error.
Right on, man.
Eyeball and magnets.
Magnets, yes, sir.
Yep.
I'm feeling pretty good about it at this point. I've done it, so many times over the last year and a half.
Oh yeah, there's tons of guys that heat treat from out of their forge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I started with
If you're-
vegetable oil for the first year, but I'm getting some better results with the Parks 50.
Yeah.
I think we probably all started with vegetable oil.
Yeah.
Yeah. I started with peanut oil. Actually, the first blade I ever quenched, I quenched in hydraulic fluid. That stunk. That was gross.
I have used motor oil when I first started. This is what I had sitting around. I mixed motor oil and vegetable oil. I was like, oh, let's see what happens.
That's a guaranteed way to get cancer.
Yeah.
It smells so bad. Yeah.
Dad's just gonna get a little bit of cancer, Stan.
Yeah. You like South Park, don't you?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I just started watching the new seasons last night.
Nice. Yeah, it's like a family tradition now. Every time a new episode comes out, we watch it.
They're the best, man.
I haven't watched
so
South Park in
topical.
so long.
Always, they're always so
Yeah.
funny.
The new episode is about AI.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
I saw
One of
some
the-
clips from the
Oh, yeah, the
Meghan
AI one.
Markle episode. That looked like it was pretty good. Where they're like going on the talk show and saying, "We want our privacy."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They move across the street from Stan.
Yeah. And they're always outside, like making noise, lighting off fireworks. Nobody pay attention to us. Yeah.
It's so true, man. I love it.
Yeah.
Nobody does
South Park's
satire
the
the way
best.
that South Park does.
Oh, the new episode, man, they friggin' the guys are sick of their women's shit, is what they said. So they use Chat GPT to respond to all the texts from their girlfriends.
Oh my gosh.
And their girlfriends like start worshiping them, and then Wendy Stan's girlfriend tells him a secret and he doesn't know what it is because he was just having Chat GPT respond to the text for him.
Makes me want to
Oh,
download
man.
that app. Try it out with the wife.
You can just use it in the browser. Actually, you create an account and you can use it right in the browser. It's actually pretty entertaining.
What'd
I
you use
played
to
around with
make
the
my
AI
sticker?
art.
Yeah.
What's that?
Because that's what you used to design my sticker. He made the
Oh,
mullet
yeah,
swan
yeah, yeah.
sticker.
Oh, that was you.
I got
Okay.
an app to
All
screw
right.
around with, and I made a ton of different pieces. I used a couple of them for handles, kind of for themes, like I did with the Zach and Miko one.
Don't cut out on us now.
Oh,
I think
you
I
got
lost you there
choppy
for a second.
second there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Are you
was
back?
scared.
Yeah, I can hear you guys now.
Okay,
Perfect.
cool.
Okay.
I had deja vu.
Oh, man.
Oh man.
Well, you guys post this
But yeah.
tomorrow, too, right?
Yeah.
Tuesdays?
Yeah, so I got to do all the
There's
yeah,
no
damn,
all
do-overs
the-
at this point.
Yeah.
Hopefully you don't have to cut out too much.
I'd have to do a solo, just me talking to the microphone, Bill Burr
Yeah, right.
style.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's got to
Well,
be
you'll
rough.
have to shoot me a DM with that AI art thing. I want to mess around with that. That one sounds fun.
For sure.
I'm curious about that.
Dude, I've gotten
Yeah,
so
man, it's
many
wild.
compliments on that sticker. They're like, that's the best sticker in the game.
It's
That's
amazing.
so
Hey, you
funny.
called it, man. You said type this stuff in. I typed it in. I went through like 20 images. Oh, this one's the best, clearly.
Yep. I want one of Randy Marsh as a swan now.
I heard you say that. I was going to try to get it to you before this started just for a little laugh, but didn't have time.
Oh, nice. Nice. If you do, I'll have those made up too.
Yeah,
Sticker
dude, I'll
app,
look
man.
into
It's
it.
great.
I'll fuck around with it tonight.
Good stuff. Well, hey, Ryan, I think we probably need to hear from one of our sponsors at this point, don't we?
Why don't we just bust out both of them?
Why not? Let's do it.
Yeah. So we'll do Maritime first.
Hustle and Grind is sponsored by Maritime Knife Supply. Whether you're looking for steel, abrasives, handle material, forges, epoxy, or anything for making in general, Maritime Knife Supply has you covered. And in the U.S. or Canada, they ship faster than the great Cobra chicken goosesses that their country is known for. Go to Maritime Knife Supply, and when you buy a 10-pack of belts, get 10% off. And tell them we sent you, eh? Hustle and Grind podcast is sponsored by Phoenix Abrasives, your one-stop abrasive shop. When you go to phoenixabrasives.com, click the shop icon in the upper right-hand corner to find all the abrasives you'll ever need. Check out the Incinerator 36 grit ceramic belts, along with the Trizact Gator belts that the hosts of Hustle and Grind use every day. When you check out, use code HUSTLE10 for 10% off your entire order.
Thanks, Luke.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell John that we can hear through his microphone during the ads.
Oh, yeah. I set my mic down here. Were you able to hear stuff or what?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was a solid beer opening that we heard or something along those lines.
Oh my bad.
You're good. You're good.
Hear
It's
what
funny.
I said to my wife when I went inside.
It's all good. We're a bunch of flea bags here, anyways.
Yeah, we're just
But yeah,
what are we? A mediocre podcast.
I don't know what we are.
Hey, gotta start somewhere, right?
Yeah, we're just having fun.
But yeah, so anyways, quick shout out to our sponsors, Maritime. Lawrence Lake is the man. Like I said earlier, he's the one that I got that no scale from for my stainless. I'm going to be using on my carbon too, and of course, Phoenix Abrasives. At the end of this show, those of you who are our Patreon supporters, you will get the opportunity to listen to an after show for the first time ever. You should have already gotten an email, but if you didn't see that, our Patreon listeners will now get a after show from every episode. After the end of every show that we record, I mean, we usually will sit and we'll just kind of talk with our guests for a couple minutes and just kind of wind down. And we're basically just going to hit record on that. And we'll have some topics to talk about and kind of just give you guys a little bit of extra content, a little bit extra value, because we appreciate you guys supporting us through Patreon so much. And so much so that this week we're actually going to share with you my hand sanding secret. We actually already recorded that after show yesterday because we wanted to make sure we got that done. So that'll be coming out Tuesday when this episode airs. So you will all get to hear why abrasive companies hate me for this one simple trick.
There'll be 2 after shows that come out on Tuesday, but every other week there'll be one.
Yes, because of the technical difficulties that we've been dealing with. So the one that we recorded yesterday, and then we'll record an after show with John here as well. So you'll get 2 after shows, so double the value.
Yeah.
Double the fun.
Or double
the
chaos or whatever it is that we provide.
Some of the best content we've ever had never got recorded, and it was in the after. You know what I mean? Because we're just sitting here shooting the shit, and we know nobody's going to hear it. And at least, like the Patreon, I'm sure we'll hold back a little bit, but it's past the paywall, so it's like everybody who loves us, so they won't care.
Yeah. If you're supporting us via Patreon, you know who we are. You know what we're about. You know that we're mechanics. You know what you're going to hear. And it's all okay. With that, let's do a little bit of Florida Man action. John, you're familiar with the Florida Man segment, right?
Very much. I also lived in Florida for a couple years.
Oh, so you've had firsthand experience.
Firsthand.
All right, so you actually have like a little extra edge in this game here.
It could be.
I've got 3 stories here, and each one is a true story. It really happened. It's a news article, and it either happened in Florida or it happened somewhere else. And so you guys need to tell me, where in the world is Florida Man? We begin. Police respond to cat stuck in tree. Find coked out African serval instead.
What's a serval?
It's like it's like a leopard.
Oh, okay.
Like a large predatory cat on coke.
Excellent.
So like the movie that just came out with the bear.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that was one of the comments on this news article was, wait, are we going to get a cocaine leopard now? Or
it's inevitable.
Anyways, so animal control officers said that this cat escaped when his owner was pulled over by the police. The big cat leapt from the car into the tree. The county dog wardens responded to reports of a, quote, leopard in a tree around 2 a.m. They retrieved Amiri, the cat's name is Amiri apparently, and brought him to the organization's facility. The organization's medical team looked over the big cat, who'd suffered a broken leg during the retrieval. They also performed a DNA test, which determined the cat was a serval, not a leopard, and that he had been exposed to cocaine.
How much you want to bet that they tranquilized it while it was in the tree and it broke its leg in the fall?
Yeah. Oh, probably.
What are you going to climb up there and put a bag over its head? You got to trank it.
Yeah.
But you got to have a trampoline underneath it just in case.
Like,
I'm not,
there's a video
I'm not
of them
climbing
doing that
up
with
a tree up after a leopard personally. I don't care how much I'm getting paid by the county.
I think that was Florida.
It's either Florida or Texas, but I'm going to go with Florida.
All right. Gentlemen, you were both going with the coked out cat was from Florida. Mm-hmm. Final answer. It is Ohio.
Oh, wow. Ohio.
See, and here's the thing. This was sent in by Pickle, so thanks, Nick. There has been an ungodly amount of weird stories coming out of Ohio, and like, don't get me started on train derailments or anything like that, but just like the weird like Florida man type headlines that I've been getting from Ohio is just nuts. It's some weird stuff. I don't know what's going on up there, but I mean, some of this predates, poisonous gases in the air, so we can't blame it on that. Like, some interesting stuff going on there. So anyways, you are both incorrect, but we're going to move on because you have two more chances. Naked man on crystal meth bites 28 people in a Walmart store. A naked man caused quite a commotion in a Walmart supercenter this morning when he randomly bit dozens of customers while barking and screaming. 29-year-old Michael Kruger entered the store naked and visibly intoxicated around 9:30 a.m. He immediately began running around the supercenter, jumping on some of the customers and savagely biting them. Jesus. Bruce Davis, an employee who witnessed the attack, said the aggressor looked like he was possessed or infected with rabies. He was running around like a maniac. He was drooling a lot and biting people. He looked like a rabid animal. He kept barking like a dog and yelling stuff about the Vatican being out to get him.
Now that's either bath salts or he identifies as Cujo.
Do you guys believe that this methed out person who might have been possessed by a demon based on the Vatican being after him was a Florida man or someone else?
Geez, that's a tough one. That could definitely be Florida, but it could also definitely be anywhere else in America.
20 people. Wow. That's impressive.
28.
That is.
28. If we were doing fake news right now, you guys would be picking this story because 28 would be a ridiculous number for somebody to bite people in a store. Like, yeah. I would have toned that down. Like the one where the guy was cutting off man buns, the original story said like 37, and I like toned it down to like 14 or something like that because I figured that was too unbelievable. I would have toned this one down. 28's a lot of people to bite. Like, that's some serious like meth. That's
nobody knew jujitsu.
I'm saying, like, he must have just been running through a line, biting everybody.
I guess.
Like, what the fuck? I'm going to go with Florida again.
Dark naked as well.
Shit.
Just because you said meth, and that's my whole thing.
I'm going to go with Maine. Just throwing a curveball there.
Throwing a curveball, going with Maine.
If that did happen in Maine, it was in Lewiston.
Well, it didn't happen in Lewiston because it happened in Ohio.
Again?
Should have guessed.
I tried to tell you guys. I tried to give you a little hint about what was going on. So thank you to Jeremy from 419 Forging, who is from Ohio, throwing us the naked man on crystal meth biting 28 people.
That reminds me of that video that circulated on the internet of the woman in Walmart yelling at the guy. She was like, "The Brotherhood is coming, motherfucker. I'm trying to help you, motherfucker."
Yeah. She's a legend.
Yeah.
All right, we got one more. So far, it is 1 to John and 0 Ryan. Here's your chance. Man flies Learjet with excavator like a toy plane. This excavator operator took the aircraft for one last ride while probably doing airplane noises. The video shows an excavator at a scrapyard with a Boeing 707 ready to be scrapped, going for one last ride as the operator spins it around and likely making airplane noises in the cab.
I saw the video of that. It was really funny.
Did you see any palm trees?
No, I don't remember that much detail.
Yeah, see, I figured everybody's probably seen this one, but you might not remember where it was. It's pretty funny. It's like a big excavator, and the guy has the plane in the claw, and he's literally just like spinning around and just like going up and down, and like it looks like a kid playing in the bathtub with an airplane or something. Woo! But it's a giant excavator.
I think there's a trend here. I'm gonna go Ohio.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Ohio as well.
I don't think I've ever done one with all three of them in one state. I'm not saying that's what I didn't do, but you guys are both going Ohio?
I'll go Florida just to keep my trend going.
Okay. John, final answer.
Ohio,
final answer. Ryan, you brought it back here at the end. That was Florida.
Do my Nate Diaz face.
We tied it up there at the end, 1-1. Good job, guys. I got to throw at least one Florida in there. I guess I probably shouldn't have put it at the end. I at least have one Florida in there.
I guess
it's been a while though, honestly. It's been a while. I actually we've been doing a lot of fake news because people keep sending me stories, and then I Google them, and I'm like, that's fake. I can't. Oh, okay. I guess we're doing fake news this week. Well, that's okay. I like fake news too. That's a lot of fun. It's amazing, just like how believable people will make stories to where people send them to me like, oh yeah, here's a good one. It's like, that's not even real, bro. Like, it's not even
never know.
Like
all the mainstream shit is fake nowadays.
Yeah, it's all fake news.
Yeah, fake news.
That's why your actual fake news stories are so believable.
It's conditioning.
Yeah.
Right on, guys. Well, there we go. Good job on Florida, man.
Thanks. We did good.
Ryan, what's been going on in your shop this week? I haven't talked about you.
I tuned in my bandsaw, and I put a new blade on it.
Did you get your keyway figured out?
Oh yeah, that was figured out 5 minutes after I discovered it. It was just 3/16
You just got that,
stock. Right? Yeah. I met up with Jamie the Squid. Yeah, it was like I was like, man, it's not cutting, and I'm like, what the fuck? Figured out the keyway. I'm like, all right, it turns now, but it's still not cutting. So I put a new blade on it. It came with a bunch of blades, but I was like, fuck it, I'll just buy the blade I want and put it on it, and I was ripping down 10-inch thick half rounds of curly maple the other day. Just pushing it right through. It's amazing.
Nice. That's awesome, dude.
It's got the riser block on it. So it's normally a 14-inch, but the riser gives you 4 more inches.
Wow,
yeah, 4 more inches. You deal with a lot of burl recently, huh?
Yeah, I've got quite a bit. Yeah, well, Maine's a logging state, and I fix chainsaws for a living, so I know a lot of people who cut wood, and so every time I see a woodcutter, I'm like, hey, if you come across any burls, and a lot of times they're like, yeah, I got one in my truck right now, and I didn't know what to do with it, and I was like, I've got there's a red oak burl on the floor right behind me. It's probably 300 pounds.
Wasn't there like a reality TV show a while ago where like people were going out and like trying to find burls and stuff like that?
Yeah, I feel Burl Hunter or something.
Yeah. I think I watched like one episode of it, and I was like, don't get me wrong, I love Burl, but is this really like a cable TV show? Like, come on.
I stumbled into it through knife making because it makes sense for me to stabilize my own handle material. For one, because I'm cheap, and it's way less money to just do it yourself after you buy all the stuff. And two, I have like unlimited access to all these. Like, I burn wood in the shop, and the guy that sells me my firewood saves me pieces like of wood he's splitting, that once he splits it open, you can see it's curly or quilted or whatever. The grain's funky, and he sets those aside for me.
I have a soft spot for quilted maple, I gotta say.
You want some?
You got quilted maple?
Dude, I got probably 100 pounds of it.
Damn.
Still in log form. I got to rip it down, but yeah, dude. The whole upstairs, that's all I do with the upstairs is I stack wood up there and I just leave it. And it dries.
So I just like, obviously I have a problem when it comes to buying wood, but I have like 2 or 3 blocks that I've bought, and I have no idea what knife I'm ever going to put them on, but I'm just going to keep them. And I've gotten one that's like, the two-tone koa wood where it's like half heartwood and then half the outer, so it's like half dark and half light. I don't know. There's something about that just does it for me. So I've got a set of scales that I got from Ryan Moeller that were those two-tone, and I'm keeping those. Like, I'm not putting, like, when somebody puts in an order, like, I don't give those as like an option because I just want to save them because I'm weird and I'm a hoarder. And then I have a block that I got from Kieran's Koa. That's that same stuff. And then I think is it Phoenix knife handles. He does his own stabilizing, and he does some crazy good like depth of colors and stuff. And I have a block of quilted maple from him that's like this vivid blue, and it's just these deep curls that you can see in it of this quilted maple. And yeah, those are just sitting in my drawer, and I don't know if I'm ever going to put them on a knife because I just love them so much. I'm just going to hoard them. I'm like a dragon with gold. I don't have a use for it. I'm just going to keep it.
I need some guinea pigs. I sent Tortuga. Brian Hennenkamp bought some micarta off me, and I sent him a couple blocks to be my guinea pig. But that, like, all that silver maple I've been posting that I've been stabilizing, I have like 300 of those blocks.
Jeez,
I'd be happy to volunteer as your guinea pig.
I know you shouldn't say this on the podcast. You're going to get plenty of people volunteering for that. We're all a bunch of wood whores.
I've found enough right here. There's 2 guys, and I sent some to another guy, and I use it. So nobody message me, please.
There you go. All right, no DMs.
You snooze, you lose.
Yeah, I'm excited for that oak once that gets slabbed up. We were supposed to go out last weekend and do it, but it snowed, and then it's whatever. It's my buddy.
You gonna just start selling scales?
I don't know. People have been approaching me because I've been posting them, and it's really beautiful wood. And
it is. And you have it at your fingertips, it seems. So you might as well make a little extra money there.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that, like, I can only use so much in the shop. And right now I've just been hoarding it and like accumulating it. Like, I don't know, it's on the other side of the room, but I got DVD racks that are full of blocks that are all
nice.
Yeah.
Knew those DVD racks would come in handy at some point.
My wife was throwing them away, and I was like, don't get rid of those. Oh, give me that. I knew right what I needed them for, too. Like, perfect for fucking blocks.
Pretty much do all your stabilizing without taking up too much time away from your knife making, right? Like, I mean, you just got vacuum pots just running.
Yeah.
Just
stabilizing, it's like a game of patience. Because you don't want to, so like I've experimented with like shutting it off and letting it soak in and then turning it back on. And I found that not doing that is the best practice, and just let it run until the bubbles stop. But a pressure pot is crucial. It makes a humongous difference. So they run under vacuum, and there's like no prep time. You just put them in there and dump the goo over it and weight them down. And I say goo, but the cactus juice.
I like goo better.
Yeah. And I keep mine in a separate container so I can just lift the container out and put it in the vacuum pot.
Oh, nice. That's a solid move. Saves cleanup time and everything, I'll bet.
Yeah. It's hard on the pumps. I'm on my third cheap pump. And this one I've already repaired once.
Do you drain the oil after every cycle?
Not every cycle.
Because I've heard that the vapor from the stabilizing agent gets in there and it'll get in the oil, and you got to change it pretty often. Otherwise, it starts to do the opposite of what oil is supposed to do.
Oh, it looks gnarly, dude. I almost sent you a picture when I opened my pump last time. It's like rust hard goo gets in the pump. And it's interesting because when I open the pump up, the fins that create the suction are G10.
Mm-hmm. Are they really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah. They're like spacer-sized little yeah, with springs behind them. On mine, the springs broke. So it was like making like a cra noise. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And I took it apart. And you like my impression.
I loved it. That was great. So John, if you're making scales like you were showing us a minute ago, what sort of system do you have for making scales?
So I have my wife is into resin art. So she got started into that. I kind of dipped into it a little bit, experimented, played around until I found a process that works for me. So basically, I'll take a block or some scales to a bandsaw. I'll put edges. I don't know how to explain it. I can show you, but you have audio listeners. Basically, I cut up the wood a little bit, enough to where I can put it in the mold. And in the middle, there's a gap. But both sides of the wood are all roughed up and spiked, so it looks like it's kind of like blasting through the handle itself.
Almost
anyway,
like
so I'll
right. Similar to like a live edge, but you're creating the live edge essentially.
Right. So I'll lay a base layer of resin down, whatever color, just so after I put the image in there and then the wood, when I grind it flat or sand it flat, the image doesn't get erased. So basically, I'll lay the layer down, then the wood blocks with the image underneath it. If there's any gaps I have to fill with some dye, some color, I'll go ahead and do that. Let it harden, and it's actually pretty easy.
Nice. And you don't have any issues with air bubbles?
No, I've gotten it down pat with that. As long as you're very smooth with the stirring of the resin and you're doing it in the proper temperature, all the air bubbles rise to the top, and that gets ground away anyways. So it works out perfectly.
Nice. That's awesome, man.
But yeah,
I've seen a lot of really cool stuff with people doing like logos and stuff like that under resin. I've seen guys do it with like they'll take like beer cans, and so they'll have like a Busch Light handle or something like that. And
right.
It's a cool way to go. But
yeah, you can theme anything.
What grit do you sand to get to where it's polished and perfectly clear to where you can see the image underneath?
10,000. So
10,000.
I'll take it on the grinder up into 1,000, and then I'll move it to hand sanding. That's the only hand sanding I do. I don't hand sand the blades. I don't have time or patience for that. But I will hand sand the resin to get it crystal clear. I also just bought a buffer, which kind of skips a bunch of process. So now I'm not even doing hand sanding. I'm just taking it right to the buffer after I hit 1,000 grit.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah, lots of practice, trial and error. But yeah, it's fun. I got it down.
Are you afraid of your buffer yet?
Not yet, but I've heard some horror stories. So I'm trying to aim it properly to where it shoots that direction.
There you go.
Yeah.
I still haven't tried out that buffing belt that I bought. I bought it and I haven't used it yet, but I definitely want to. That black felt from Phoenix. And that's for a 2x72? Yes, sir. Yeah, it's just a big fat felt belt. So, but apparently you can hit it with compound, and I really like the thought of it because you can control the speed. But I'm actually, and this is kind of exciting for me, I'm actually going to finish a knife pretty soon here. So I'll be able to, I only buff the handles. I don't buff knives. So once I finish that blade, I'll be able to buff it. I've just kind of been in a slump of not being able to get anything finished, whether that's for mental block reasons or whatever exactly it is. But I'm pretty excited to finish a knife here soon and get that delivered. But yeah, I'm gonna try out that buffing belt on there because my buffer does scare me because I've had a couple close calls.
Yeah, I've had some close calls. I was thinking about. I have one of them buffing belts too, and I haven't tried it. And I was thinking about trying it on my Kydex because you use the buffer to
Oh,
make the edges of the Kydex shiny. But
yes.
I use like a cotton wheel, and I find that the little strands of cotton get stuck in the Kydex, and I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was going to try that out.
I really like the airway buffing wheels. Have you seen those where it's like a folded fabric that's crimped together with like a stamped steel center hub?
Yeah, it looks like a
And
dishcloth.
yeah, kind of like that. They're tough to get used to when you first get them, but after a while, they buff so much faster than like a regular cotton, and they don't deflect side to side if you accidentally bump them weird. So in that respect, they're maybe a touch safer feeling. Um, but I use one of those on my Kydex, and it's the same thing. You'll get that whatever color buffing wheel you'll use. Like I think I have a red one on there right now. You'll get like this kind of red film or miniature threads that'll get into that Kydex, and you kind of gotta either I use acetone for everything, just kind of clean it off with acetone or get that weird staining out of there. But with that black felt belt, you probably wouldn't have that issue.
I don't have a variable speed yet, so one of these days.
Oh yeah, you're one of them savages, dude. I don't know how you guys do full speed all the time. Oh man,
That's all
that
I know
scares
at
the
this
shit
point.
out of me. I know you're so used to it, but like
Mm-hmm.
I the only time I'm going full speed is on 36 grit, and then the rest I slow it right down. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
fuck, you guys are crazy.
It's definitely on the list.
Balls out. That's nuts. Yeah, it comes in handy to be able to slow it down, but I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine using like a Scotch Brite, like
Oh,
doing
jeez.
a Scotch Brite on 100.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
That would be
yeah.
sketch, man.
I knew that because we talked about leather belts, and leather belts
Yes.
shouldn't be run at full speed. Yeah,
I was just going to say
I mean
that's
you
one of the
probably
reasons why I
could,
want to
but
get it.
yeah, you probably could run at full speed, but I wouldn't because they wobble wicked. I mean, I should probably post a video about it. Every one I've had a couple of them, and they all do it. It's just a cut strip of leather that they glue together.
Yeah, get a slow motion
But
reel with some funky music.
Wiggling all over the place. I've never actually seen a 2x72 leather belt. I've got a leather stropping belt that I bought way back in the day for my 1x30. And initially, I threw away my 1x30 when I got my 2x72. And then I was like, wait a second. And I picked it up back out of the garbage can, and I just run my leather belt on that. So when I'm sharpening, I've got my 2x72 with whatever belt I'm doing there. And then I turn around, pick up my little 1x30 with the leather belt on there, and then I use that stropping belt on the 1x30.
Phoenix carries the 2x72 stropping belts. Actually, they're cheaper on Phoenix than anywhere else I've seen. Everywhere else, they're like $75 on Phoenix. I think they're 49, something like that.
Yeah, I think Amazon
Plus,
was like $60.
yeah, they're not cheap.
I almost bought it.
Does your grinder have? Is it plate mount or is it like bench mount for the motor?
Bench mount.
Bench mount.
Yeah. OBM.
What horsepower? What horsepower are you running?
What the fuck came with it? I don't even know for certain. I don't know anything about motors. I just bought it off the website.
I think their single speed is like a 1.5, something like that. That's enough.
It cranks.
I've got a 1-horse. Yeah, I've got a 1-horse motor. I was limping my grinder with when my VFD went down, and I mean 1 horse is enough if you're not really leaning into it.
Yeah, it never bottoms out on me. Before it bottoms out,
what size drive wheel?
4.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to bog down a motor with a 4. Once I upgraded to like a 7-inch drive wheel, that one you can, if you're really getting into it, you can kind of bog it down a little bit. But man, with that 4-inch drive wheel, I mean, there's no bogging anything down with that thing. It just turns.
And what, the bigger the wheel, the faster it goes, right?
Yeah.
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 But you lose your torque reduction when you're
Mhm.
running that bigger wheel. You got higher speed, less torque.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I'm running a 3-horse with a 7-inch wheel, and I can slow it down if I push hard enough. I'm never pushing that hard, but if I wanted to, I could.
A 7-inch on a 3-horse, and you can still bog it down. That's nuts.
Yeah. If I took like a 1/4-inch thick bar and put it on my stomach and leaned into it, I could bog it down.
Mm-hmm. You still breaking belts?
Belts? No, actually, now that you bring it up, I ain't broken a belt since that one that hit me in the hand.
Any changes?
I did. I changed where the gas strut was located. So I gave it less pressure. So it's only like expanding a little bit to tension the belt. And maybe that was my issue. Maybe I was putting too much pressure on the seam. Yeah. You get pretty gun shy. You get hit in the face 2 or 3 times in a couple months.
I bet.
Yeah.
No, that's the one thing that I kind of had to relearn a little bit. I got a couple comments on a reel that I posted of me grinding some bevels of how low down my grinder is. Well, on the Ameribraid, the whole platen sits a lot lower than it did on my Revolution. So I kind of had to relearn a little bit the way that I grind my bevels. And it kind of worked out in my favor because I've always known that I had really poor posture when I was grinding bevels before, and with it being lower down, I'm forced to keep my back straight and just kind of trust I know where my bevels are at as I'm grinding, and it actually worked out pretty well. My neck didn't hurt or anything after I was done, grinding for a few hours. But that was a big difference in just kind of forcing me to learn a better way to grind my bevels.
Yeah. I like, when I'm grinding bevels, I like the grinder low because I like to look at the line in between the belt and the edge of your blade. You know what I mean? You can see down into it. That's where I'm watching.
Yeah.
And you grind edge up?
Yeah. So I'm looking straight down the top of the platen when I'm grinding. Right. And which is probably why I get hit in the face when the belts break.
Yes. Exactly.
But when I have like my small wheel and stuff on, I want that higher up. So that's why I bought the pedestal. Like I've got my shredder on a pedestal that's tall. So when I'm doing like small wheel stuff, it's almost like chin level. So I can just, you know what I mean? See what I'm doing better.
You use 2 different grinders? 2 different chassis?
I've got 2 different grinders.
Nice.
So what I did for that is because usually when I'm using a small wheel, I'm doing some pretty fine work. I'm kind of cleaning up a choil, or a lot of times on like my shotgunners, if I'm using like a slack belt on the bottom, I'm trying to, pay attention to exactly what's happening. I actually just grabbed a stool and I sat down, and I found that that's a lot easier than trying to bend over and, because I don't have that pedestal to keep it up where you like it, Ryan. And sitting down, actually, I can't grind bevel sitting down, but for doing all that fine finishing work and everything, sitting down actually worked really well for me.
Yeah, who else? Mareko grinds sitting down, doesn't he?
I don't know if he always does, but I know I've heard him say that he's done that before.
I've seen a couple guys tilt the platens towards them and sit in like an office chair.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. I couldn't. It has to be straight up and down for me.
You guys ever use a tilt table?
Yep, I've got the True Tilt.
Yeah.
Yep. The mini cleavers I use that for bevels.
It works good?
Nice. Have you hooked it? Yeah, I like it. I don't use it for like my chef knives or anything like that, but if I have to grind a dagger, like the Ninja Star I made, I used the True Tilt to grind it.
Yeah, I seen that.
Oh, yeah.
That's so cool.
Have you tested it out yet?
Oh, yeah, she sticks.
How many holes do you have in your wall now?
I forgot that my garage door is foam. And my brother was over. And he's like, does it stick into stuff? And I hucked it at the garage door, and it poked out the other side. And I was like, oh shit, whoopsie. But I got a good response out of those. I was surprised. But
I'm not.
You get some
Everybody
orders.
loves Ninja Stars, man.
No solid orders yet. But a couple people were like, I would buy those. But in order for it to be worth it, Noah and I talked about it. I would have to charge like 175 for like 3 of them,
Okay.
which is kind
That
of a
seems
lot
fine.
for throwing
For
stars.
3 of them. Yeah.
Yeah, you get 3
It's
of
a
them, and they're
collector's,
handmade throwing stars. Yeah, it's not like Amazon soft steel. These are 1095.
Right. You
I bet
angle
that.
grind cut them or?
Yeah, I drill the holes first and then cut it out with an angle grinder and shape it.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're paying for the BA factor, man. Those things are, I don't know. Those things are awesome.
They were a lot harder to grind than I anticipated. Like when I was, because I have a cheap one, I have an Amazon one, and I was like looking at it, and I'm like, that ain't shit. And then I start grinding it, and I'm like, I have to do 10 different double bevels,
right?
And they all have to look the same. They need to be balanced too. So I bought. They're for lawnmower blades, but it's like a cone that sits on a needle. And you can set it over it, and if it tilts one way or the other, it's heavier. So I can balance them out. Yeah, it's on the way.
So, I mean, we're not talking about just like silly little toys here. We're talking about precision instruments that are balanced properly. I mean, that's...
Oh, yeah. If you're going to sell handmade Ninja Stars or throwing knives, you have to know how to balance them.
That's awesome.
Anybody who's even like fucked around throwing a knife, if it's not balanced, it's like, that's worthless, you know?
I've thrown axes. Actually, no, I've thrown knives because when I was testing out my shotgunners, I tested out that different steel and I started hucking it up against the wall quite a few times. That was fun.
Glock knife makes a nice throwing blade.
Nice.
Glock knife?
Yeah.
Like the Austrian company? I didn't know they made knives. I think this is the first guest we've had that has spent as much time out of his chair as in it.
So my uncle was a Marine. I lived with him for a while in Vegas, and I didn't have shit to do, so all I did all day was shoot bows and throw knives. This makes a fantastic throwing knife. All purpose, but also throws very nice.
Oh, nice.
Right
kind of like a K-bar, like a little K-bar. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see if people start buying them. I'll start making them. Like I'm a whore for money. You know what I mean? So if somebody was like, "Yeah, I'll take some. I'll make them." Fuck it. I'd like to stick to a 5-point because I think if I go up to like an 8-point, that's going to be really difficult to grind because of like if you've got 1 point sticking out over the platen. You know what I mean? Like that one, there was enough room for the platen to not be in the way when you're doing the bevels.
Yeah, I can see that getting real complicated real fast with more points.
Mm-hmm. Do a couple 3-point. Try that out.
Yeah,
I've had several requests for throwing knives before, and nobody ever wants to pay handmade money. You know what I mean? Like even like 175 for a set of 3, when you could go on Amazon and buy like Chinesium ones for $20 for 12 of them.
And the tip breaks off.
Yeah. I've had some cheap ones.
They're going to throw them once and then put them in a drawer. So just depends on what people are looking for.
Yeah, it's always fun to screw around with new stuff. That's what's the most fun.
I was getting bored because when you start selling knives, you notice that people buy knives based off previous knives that you've made. So you end up making the same ones over and over and over again. And sometimes you got to throw some like little side fun projects in there.
For sure.
Absolutely.
It's fresh.
Like a throwing star.
You don't want to get bored.
Yeah. Yeah. It literally took me a half hour to like make the profile, and then you got to heat treat. So that's kind of a process, but then grinding it took me like another hour to grind it, hour and a half. Cause I ground it straight to 120. I mean, it's only 330 seconds thick, so it's not. And I just on the True Tilt. True Tilt works great.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it out. Wife bought it for me. Haven't used it yet. I'm a creature of habit, so once I get used to something, I don't want to mix it up. I found a good process. I'm gonna use it though eventually.
Yeah, do like a test blade because it is a little
Mm-hmm.
different than your traditional grinding,
Yeah,
but because you're like sliding up the table and going into it.
right. I've
Um,
watched a ton of videos on it.
yeah,
I
Brent
still
makes
need to
it look
put mine
easy.
together. I still
I
have mine in a
just,
drawer. I still haven't set it up on an arm.
I got to buy
I'm
another
a
arm
horrible
for it.
human being.
You
I
said you need an
constantly.
arm for it.
Yeah, I got to buy another arm for it.
What do the OBMs take? Are they the square stock, the aluminum?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. How long do you need?
Probably 1.5 foot, something like that. The arms
I
that they
think I
sell at
got it.
OBM, the way I have it set up right now is it's too long. The ones they give you, so I'd have to cut it anyway. So that's another reason why I haven't used it yet. I've just been not wanting to cut it up, set it up. You know.
Yeah. If you the where the belt passes down below the table, if you
Mm-hmm.
grind off in that channel, you can gain a couple extra degrees for like doing chef
Okay.
knives and stuff. Yeah.
Mm.
I was doing
Little
everything
tricky
freehand. I
tool.
just upgraded to the tool rest, which is nice. Nice upgrade there.
Yeah, that's how I grind off a work rest.
I still haven't been able to do that. I might try it at some point. I did get that nice little tool rest from Ameribraid that would probably work pretty well for that. I do all my grinding at an angle. So like all of my plunge lines, they're all at an angle. So everything's
Oh,
angled forward.
you're one of
Interesting.
these guys?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
And I have no idea why. I always started that way, and like from an artistic standpoint, I know why because of the way that I think about kind of the I don't know my mantra with making my knives and everything like that. But I don't know when it started. Like that's just kind of the way it started, and I've always done it that way. I've never ever done a flat plunge line.
Interesting. I have to make a conscious effort to tilt my blades up or else because if you look at my plunge lines, they're all straight because I grind off the work rest. But if I want a curved one, I have to like really think about it. It's like not muscle memory for me at this point.
Which is
Isn't
why
it?
it's the opposite for me. So I
Yeah.
almost couldn't grind off of a work rest just for that reason.
It's weird how
Um,
we all develop our own little nuances to grinding. Like I suck using a jig, like a bolt-on jig. I can't fucking grind with a jig to save my life. I'm a little better freehand, and then I get the results I want off a work rest. It's just weird how there's no correct way to do it.
Haven't used the jig
as long
yet.
as you get as long as you get even results, that's all that matters. Speaking of
Yeah.
Yeah.
even bevels, I recently, actually just the other day, got the new what's the term for it? The scribe, the scribe marker from Spruce Hill Studios.
Ah,
Um, he's got these sweet little 3D printed scribe holders that work for scribing your center line in your blades. And I just picked that up, or I just got it in the mail the other day, and I did a little test with it, and it's a pretty slick little unit.
I used mine
Um,
today too. It's super slick.
it was awesome, and I got to show my kid because my kid's a little bit obsessed with like the idea of 3D printing. We got him a like a
Mm-hmm.
3D printing pen for Christmas, so it's like this little pen that melts the filament as you're using it, and you can like draw things and like make 3D objects with it. And so eventually I'm going to have to get him a 3D printer because he's really into that. So being able to show him like a finished product of something that was useful, that was a
Yeah.
tool that somebody had 3D printed was really cool. He loved it. And I've used it a couple times and it seems to work really well. I'm going to use it a bunch more on that batch of 8 because they're all stock removal knives. So that'll be super easy to just be able to scribe my lines with that and be able to have nice even bevels for those steak knives that I'm making. So shout out to Spruce Hill Studios, Will from Maine.
Yep, another main boy.
Boy.
Boy. Yeah, Will's cool. I got one. They're awesome. And they're really good quality too. Like the screw that tightens down your scribe has like a brass insert. It's not threaded into plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, it's got a nice knob on the top of it and everything that you can grab onto really easily. And yeah, it seems like a really nice product. So I think
send me
he's
a
going
pic
to be
later.
offering those.
I
Yeah,
will,
for
yeah.
sure. I will. I think it was the last reel I posted where I was kind of just showing off the chaos in my shop. You can see it in that. So you just take a slab of marble or whatever, slap your blank down on there. Some people will use like a Dicom. I use just a fat Sharpie, and I'll just paint the edge of my blade. I'll get it to a decent finish, and then I'll paint the edge of my blade, and then just scribe it down the center with that. And I do it one on one side and then one on the other side. So if it's not perfectly centered, then you have two lines, and you know that your center's in between those two lines. And that way you know you're getting nice even bevels on both sides. So you can just kind of have that reference point as you're grinding.
Folks,
Super nice to have.
I use cheap markers from the dollar store because it's like a thick Chinese ink.
Oh,
and
okay.
It sticks better than Sharpie.
Right on.
Yeah, I use
Smells
these
horrible.
markers my wife uses for the resin art. I'm not sure what they are, but they work well.
Yep. I didn't like Dicom because it took so long to dry. And I'm like, I don't have time for this shit. Whoop, whoop. And Sharpie stays right on while you're grinding.
Yeah.
Why do people like to use Dicom?
I don't know.
What's the advantage?
I don't know, because it does flake off. I mean, if you're rubbing on it with your finger.
Know. I'm
I would
genuinely
too.
curious. Yeah, so if somebody's out there and they know or they use Dicom, I know a lot of stock removal guys use it, and it seems like a decent marking compound. I don't understand the advantage of that. I mean, maybe it goes on more even than like Sharpie does.
Which it does, but it also, I don't mark my bevels, so I don't set myself a goal for where my grind lines are going to end.
Right.
Because I find it leads to disappointment. So I just stopped doing it, and I find a lot of guys that use Dicom do that, which it makes sense because it's a large flat area and you can get a nice crisp line on it. But I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I'm sure we'll find out.
Yep. What do you guys say we wrap this up, get to the after show?
Sounds good, man.
And we'll do a little Patreon and then play us out. Goodbye,
Thanks
everybody.
for having me, boys.
Yeah, man, it was a good one.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for listening, guys.
To the Hustle and Grind podcast, a podcast for all the makers out there hustling and grinding every day to turn their dreams into reality. If you'd like to show your support, you can go to patreon.com/hustle and grind. And for as little as $1 a month, you can help us all keep hustling and grinding. And remember, every time H&G gets a new patron, an angel gets its wings.
Have a good week, guys. Thanks for listening.
Bye.